and welcome to the Halftime Team Talk podcast. Today we discuss the prodigal son returning for Spurs to score a second half hat-trick off the bench in a 6-2 win against Leicester. Man City played, so I'm assuming Haaland scored. Arsenal go back to the top of the table as they lay some ghosts to rest with a simple win at Brentford. Nottingham Forest conceded 3 at home again, which is probably why they only have one win all season. The same amount as Everton, as Maupay gets off the mark for his new club, as Everton get their first win of the season. And as usual, we'll have our FPL update from the weekend. On today's podcast, we've got Theo.
Hello.
Johnson.
Hello.
Brian.
Hello there.
And Tom.
Hello there.
Let's start off with Aston Villa, Southampton. Obviously finished 1-0 to Villa. Big win for Steven Gerrard and his immediate future. I didn't watch it. I imagine some of you did, as it was the only game on Friday, but I heard it was quite dreadful.
Forest Fulham were on Friday.
We're both on as well, on the telly.
I don't know about telly.
I think it was Villa Southampton.
Yeah, unfortunately, the worst of the games was on televised, and the other one that was like, oh, there's been another goal in the other game, and unfortunately, you're watching this dross one.
So yeah, for any NWP listening, Villa Southampton. So Jacob Ramsey got the winner for Villa just for half time. Ollie Watkins hit the bar with a header. From what I read, Southampton gave Villa too much confidence, and it was like understood that they were to kind of press them and put them under a bit of pressure. Like Villa are a bit nervy at the moment, and it would have played on the fans' nerves, but they just showed them too much respect for whatever reason.
It was just a terrible game. I did watch it, and it did a good job at putting me to sleep, to be fair. It really wasn't very entertaining at all. But it's a huge result for Gerrard.
Yeah, not a good spectacle, but as a result, it was...
Oh, yeah, it's a massive 3 points.
Well,
but at the same time...
because, you're used to watching Liverpool and, playing like Champions Leagues and things, but for those guys... lower down tables, it was a game you expect to see, really. With just like one goal in it and just so many missed opportunities as well. It was poor, but that's like the level that they're at, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose.
The two teams
that's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
Scrapping for every point, aren't they? Fighting for their lives already at this stage of the season.
It just shows you what like one player in Philip Coutinho can do.
I heard he did have a bit of. He was the only one showing a bit of class, really. But yeah, apart from that, I don't think there's much else to say, so let's move on to the other game of the night.
Can I just quickly say one thing about Coutinho? The one problem with Villa with Coutinho is it's literally just give him the ball and hope he does something. And a lot of the time he's like, well, I can't do anything because my back's to goal. There's 3 people around me, so he passes it back off and they're like, here you go, have it again. It's just like... pass everything through Phil Coutinho and I hope he does something. I mean, he was quite good. Playing. But, Danny Ings was on the bench. Because I remember they mentioned it a few times about will he do something against his old club. And he had a half chance towards the end. Because Southampton pushed up for a corner. They put the goalkeeper up. Ings had like a mini chance from like the halfway line to try and shoot on an open goal and missed it. And then just was laughing because it was terrible. But
it's not really United there.
It wasn't. No, but it just wasn't a very good game. I think if we just move on.
What were you going to say, Tom?
Yeah, I was just saying, like, Coutinho's in my fantasy football lineup, so I'm quite pleased that you're all talking about him in really high ways, because I didn't see the game, but if he played that well, hopefully he'll get me a few points. It's not good. Also the chicken is really good.
Tom's cooking a chicken dinner while we professionally record a podcast. Right, should we move on to the other game of the night, which should have been on telly, but wasn't. Nottingham Forest 2, Fulham 3. Forest went ahead again, conceded 3 goals, I think, in 6 minutes. I didn't see this game again, I saw the highlights, but yeah, Fulham seems to be doing quite well.
Yeah, I think they'll quite easily stay up this year. Kind of everyone sort of looks at the newly promoted sides and wonders if they're going to go down, but I think Fulham will do maybe even mid-table by the way they're going. But I think Forest have got something to worry about.
I did say Forest. I think Forest will struggle. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the second half of the season if all these players they've bought kind of gel. But I think they've bought too many players, which they had to do really because they had so many loanees last year. So it was either buy players or you haven't got enough players.
Yeah.
I mean, they did well. Obviously, they were winning 1-0, but then they conceded 3 goals in like 6 minutes, wasn't it?
Yeah, 6 minutes.
Just 6 minutes of absolute collapse. And then you go, no, they've lost a game, they've thrown away another game again, but yeah.
They can score. Go on, Fred.
That's right, I was going to say,
also makes you... Sorry.
Is that gone now?
One person speak at a time, goddammit!
He's gone back to his chicken. I was just going to say, there's a 10-minute from Fulham. From Forest, sorry. And it's like costing the game, really, because I did watch it, and again, there was chances, but... with the lower teams, there's just not like quality there.
There's no issue scoring for Forest. I don't think they've conceded 14 in their last 4 games, which is quite a lot.
I was going to mention Dean Henderson. I've not watched hardly any football again, as per usual, this season. But with Forest, I just wonder if, like you said, they can score goals. They can go ahead in games, but they just crumble at the back. And I was going to compare it to Sheffield United because they couldn't score goals, but they were strong at the back. So is it Dean Henderson? Do you think is he not on it this year, or is it?
I don't necessarily think it's Dean Henderson because he seems to be making quite a lot of saves, but I've not watched him close enough to give you a definitive answer.
From that game, watching that game, it just seems like again they're just like a bit of everything really. I couldn't really put it on one person.
Have they just not bought good enough players for the Premier League, do you think?
Yeah, I think they've just, they've filled the slots, so they've got a bit of depth. And you would have thought like the 5 subs would have been a benefit to them, really. They could rotate it a bit more. But,
just taking like a scattergun approach, haven't they? Bought as many as they could.
I think they bought all right. It's just a case of, yet again, and we'll say about it for a while yet, is it'll take Forest a while to gel. The problem is will it take them too long to gel, and then they're going to be banging trouble? Because, I mean, they're in the bottom 3, aren't they, right now?
Yeah, second from bottom. But a win would take them to 13th.
Yeah, I mean, it's fairly close.
I wonder if...
Go on, Tom.
Sorry, yeah, it's also a wonder, we talk about Forest now with their willing to gel and everything, but if they do go down, what happens to all those players? They all just exodus out the club, and then they've got no one.
Well, they can't leave, can they?
This is good.
They can't just leave.
Yeah,
they would have to be sold, wouldn't they? Because they've got contracts, but still.
They have to be sold, but is it like a Leeds situation when they went down? Would they Forest just have to just mess themselves up now, buying all these players, and is this one big gamble for them? That's what I'm wondering. It does
seem to look like a bit of a gamble, if I'm honest. The way they were splashing the cash. I think they were second highest spenders in the league, which is a bit crazy.
That's how you stay in the Premier League, though, isn't it? Like that.
Yeah, I mean they had to spend money, so they've done what they've done. But to be fair, if you look at them, I think a lot of them would stay in the Championship. There's only a handful. Like Dean Henderson, obviously only on loan anyway. Neco Williams would stay at them if they went down. Morgan Gibbs-White might have a bit of because they've spent so much, but at the same time he could stay. Lingard, I think it's literally if they go down he leaves. Like there's a lot of them who I think would stay. Chet Kouyate's only gone there on a free. He'd probably stay.
Why did Jesse Lingard choose Forest over West Ham? I mean, obviously West Ham are not doing much better. They would have started at West Ham, though.
I think they
don't
were
know if they would, because they bought for Claire, didn't they?
Say again, Falvey.
Because we messed them around a bit. I don't think they were willing to cough up the money at the end, were they?
I think they were, by all accounts. I think they both made the same offer, but I think either Forest offered more. Obviously, the story is they offered more money, but I think they may have offered a longer contract as well.
I guess there's another point as well. Do we see if does he keep his job? If they don't do well, will Forest owners just pull a trigger and say,
that's another question. There's no loyalty. Obviously, he should be given the time, but there's no loyalty in football. As soon you get rid of him,
I think that regardless, they'd keep him because he performed a miracle getting them up. But obviously, that's not how football works. But
no, just about to say that. What were you going to say, Freya?
I was just going to say random. Well, not really a random fact, but Forest so far have conceded both the most number of goals from outside the box and the most number of goals following corners. 6 from outside the box and 5 from corners so far in the Premier League.
So obviously there's an issue at set pieces and not getting out to your man outside the box either as well. But it's weird to see Willian in a Fulham shirt, and they're up to 6th now. So it's obviously doing something right, and they should have had another 2 points against Liverpool in the first game of the season, which they'd have been in the top 4 then, which is a bit crazy to say. But Marcus Silva seems to be doing a good job.
Well. The funny thing is about Fulham scoring 3 goals is that Mitrovic had absolutely nothing to do with them as well. So that their big man, their main talisman, didn't have any input in the 3 goals that were scored.
No, he didn't.
So from their point of view, that they can score goals from elsewhere.
He had a couple of good chances that he missed, but he didn't do anything involving the goals, did he?
It's not all on Mitrovic. They can get goals from elsewhere, which is another good sign for them in terms of trying to stay up.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And we could see that Fulham maybe establish themselves as a proper Premier League team like Bournemouth did at once, Swansea did once. Maybe they'll stay in for a few years now. Seemingly they've got options from all. And they've got a bigger stadium as well. They've expanded the stadium a bit as well.
But what's interesting is... No, I've just said the completely wrong thing now that you said Bournemouth. That's for another point. Let's move on. Anyone else have anything else to say on this game, or should we go Wolves Man City?
No, move on.
Nope, right. Wolves 0, Man City 3. Game was over in the first half, really. Grealish obviously listened to the podcast.
First minute, yeah.
Responded to our criticism.
I was going to say the game was over in the tunnel. Did you see them sort of joking around with KDB, asking him to not do the same as what he did last season?
Is that what they said? Wow.
Just shows the mindset, wasn't it? It might have only been in jest.
It was kind of like United's the United mindset, wasn't it, back in the day? Like it was only one in the tunnel.
Yeah.
So Grealish scored after 5 seconds. Haaland obviously scored again, his 7th consecutive game scoring, taking his tally to 14 in the past 9 Premier League 9 games in all competitions. It's a machine, isn't he?
I saw a stat that's Wolves' top goal scorer this season has 1 goal. And Haaland's on 11. And what was the other one I said the other day? Since April, Wolves scored 4 goals in Molineux, whereas City have scored 8, is it?
Oh, yeah. I do remember you saying that. I've got to start. I was going to leave this to the end, but Haaland has scored more than 13 other teams in the Premier League on his own.
There was the other stat with Haaland as well. He scored more goals than Kane. There's 3 big strikers: Kane, someone else, Salah, and another one. I can't remember who it was.
And Kane
he scored
and
more than those combined. Mitrovic, combined, and he's just a monster.
It's just crazy.
I've got a history one for you. Haaland has become the first player ever in the Premier League history to score in each of his first 4 away games.
I was just about to say that, but yeah, first person to ever do that is just shows the levels that he's operating on, and he's kind of taken the limelight away from Kevin De Bruyne. He's already up to 6 assists in 7 games this season. Got 2 in this game. I think he's 3 clear of second place already. So yeah, doesn't look like anyone's going to stop him really. But who knows when it's a world like this? Got this weird World Cup in the middle of the season. Who knows what's going to happen after the World Cup?
I mean, obviously on the flip side, slightly. Wolves did have a couple of chances, but they just weren't taking them. They were near chances, but they're just putting them wide. I think they only actually had like 1
You've
shot.
got to take your chances against City. When you don't get many, and when you do, you've got to take them.
But then even if Raul Jimenez was playing, I don't know if he's that guy anymore because of what's happened to him.
No,
Diego Costa, is he a bit over the hill? Like, have they got a guy who can take the chances?
Did you see his Twitter announcement video?
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
It was just holding 2 wolves on chains, just like looking at the camera.
I think I've seen a thing actually that he has got a phobia of dogs as well, which was quite funny.
Wow.
They're like, this guy's hard as nails, let's just find out his weaknesses and make him do a video of it.
Yeah. Well, apparently they were actually real wolves, apparently. So, but yeah, I don't really think there's much else to say on that. Wolves got the joint. Did someone mention it before? They've scored 3 goals this season. That's the joint lowest this season with West Ham. so far.
Interestingly, I think I heard before the game as well. They've only conceded 4 goals all season, which was also the lowest in the league before the
Yeah,
City game.
they weren't scoring, but they weren't conceding, and then Man City rock up and pretty much double the amount that they've conceded in one game.
In fairness, so down to 10 men against City.
Yeah, well,
Could have been a
I
lot
was going to
worse.
move on. The red card. Let's talk about the red card. I know. What were you saying the other day, Fryer?
I think I said something along the lines of "Everybody was kung fu fighting."
All right, okay. Yeah, I thought you thought it wasn't a red card, but
No, I was just trying to make a joke about him not going for the ball because his foot was going down like Van Dijk's was. That's all it was.
all right, it was pretty shocking. But
yeah,
then I seen CV, who's not here today, saying it was shocking. It cost me points, but I don't know if he was saying it was bad and it shouldn't have been a red.
No, he had
I think he's got
Collins in his fantasy team, so he got him a nice -3. But he was trying for the ball, but I mean, when you kick someone that badly in the midriff, it's kind of a fair enough.
When you're running towards them as well, that's like the main.
Yeah,
the rules as well. It's kind of like it's a bit like skew-iff because if you're looking at the player, everyone says, "Oh, it's dangerous and it's reckless." You were aiming for the player. But if you're looking at the play, you can kind of move your foot away and you know what you're doing. Whereas if you're looking away at the ball, you don't know what's going on.
That's why I don't agree that this Haaland one with his high foot should have been a red, because he's looking at the ball and the player's coming from his left, so he's not even looking at the play. He's looking at the ball.
Yeah.
The guy's put his head in the.
It's not intentional, and to be fair, I know some people will call in for a red for it, but people duck down to head stuff now to try and win the fouls. And it's a pet peeve of mine where a player will be like half the size of another player. Like usually when I'm watching Liverpool, they'll be like half the size and they'll duck down to head something. Whereas one of our players will stick a foot that's not even high, and then they'll go, "Oh, my head," and then they'll get the free kick. It's really annoying.
Yeah, it does need to be clearer on like more around what a player's intention was rather than where his foot was and where the other guy's head is. Because like if it's just based on that alone, then yeah, we'll be stopping every 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think it goes back to that City Liverpool game, didn't it, when Maupay like crunched Ederson in the face. That was kind of reckless because he jumped in the air to do it as well.
It wasn't even kind of reckless, mate. That was like a big boot from like Diesel.
But he's going for the ball, isn't he?
Diesel.
He's going for the ball, and you don't expect the goalkeeper to.
Diesel, I love it.
It wasn't a red though.
I was expecting entrance music to come on after that as he walked away back into the tunnel.
Yeah, it was pretty
just like NWO music drops and he just Hulk Hogan comes out and they guitar solo off into the distance. Like it was.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Moving on, Newcastle 1, Bournemouth 1. Again, another game I saw the highlights for. The game was totally dominated by Newcastle. They had 20 shots to 10 of Bournemouth, 73% of the ball. And they're just struggling to score, Newcastle, and finish games off, even though they've bought Isaac. I just want to bring up the handball. I think that was quite harsh, because he was so close to the cross. Like, what is he meant to do?
Yeah, I agree with that. It's,
I don't even
move his arm out the way.
No, and it wasn't like his arm was at a 90 degrees angle. It was down by his side.
Yeah, but his arm was out. I think it was a penalty.
I was going to say his arm was out, but you see that's why players will play where they put the hands behind the back, because that's like literally the only way.
Yeah, exactly. Like people take the piss, but if it hits, like it's kind of like that Champions League final. Go back to Mane. I love him. I miss him. When he got that penalty, like. The guy puts his arm out, and Mane's just like, "Oh, right, okay, I'll just hit the ball at your arm." Like it's stupid. But like, I don't even know what the rules are with handballs in the box now. Like, didn't they change it to?
It's one of them ones they deem if it's intentional or if the arm's in a quote unquote unnatural position. But I mean, if the arm's in that position, technically it's not in an unnatural position. But
if you're attacking,
it's not like it hits you, the arm's completely just flailing it around. But
no, but if you're attacking. And it hits you on the arm anywhere, even if your arm's down by the side, it's a handball, isn't it? And the goal's ruled out.
Well, the main issue for me for that decision was the distance between.
Yeah, that is the thing. He was so close.
The two players. Yeah, that's what I mean. It was like he didn't even have a chance to even move his arm like from anywhere where it was before it was even kicked. So I agree. I think it was harsh, but those are the rules in it.
VAR actually decided. I don't know if the referee did straight away, did he? But the VAR looked at it and basically went, "Yeah, that is a penalty." But
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, it was,
I don't know if you guys noticed as well, but as I was going through the games this weekend, there wasn't really much talk of VAR for a change.
which is good for once.
Liverpool.
To be honest,
You mean United didn't play?
Well, was there not much talk because they didn't make a bad decision, or was it because they didn't make any good decisions?
No, I think a bad decision
You
will
are-
get people
you are
talking more than
reading
a good one.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you said
Newcastle huffed and puffed, but in the end had to settle for a draw. Really, didn't
Yeah.
they?
Yeah,
They had like 70% possession,
73.
3% possession.
73% possession, and how many shots did they have? 20, was it?
20 to 10, yeah.
20 shots and couldn't even score in open play. Like that's really bad. That.
Yeah. Obviously, Isaac scored from the penalty spot. It's his first goal at St James's Park. Takes his tally to 2 for Newcastle. It's Newcastle's 5th draw of the season. They're winless in their last 6 games. Their last win came on the opening day of the season in a 2-0 win at Forest. Well, against Forest at home. So, yeah. Do we need to start questioning Eddie Howe?
Well, I wouldn't say so. I think they're doing all right.
Are they doing? They're doing all right considering where
They're
they
doing
were,
all right.
but they've got lofty
they're
ambitions
dominating
now.
games. They're just not quite getting the results so far. It's not like they're being, they're not getting spanked or anything, are they? It's just they are the better team in a lot of games. They're just not quite.
If it
clicking
continues like this and they come 10th, do they question Eddie Howe then?
I don't know. I think they do seem to be willing to patiently build something, but I do think if he's maybe like this time next season and it's still the same results, then maybe I think he'll be on the chopping block. But I think it appears like they're willing to be patient with him.
Once you start spending £60 million on players, though, like results need to start changing, don't they?
Mm.
I mean, he's good enough for now, but for what Newcastle probably, behind the scenes with how much they've spent or how much their owners are worth and their probably ambitions, ultimately Eddie Howe won't be the manager to do that anyway. But I think as of right now, Eddie Howe's okay.
When they win the league, he won't be the manager.
No, he won't be. He'll be probably the England manager.
I think when they're pushing for a European place, I don't know if he'll be the manager. I think he's the one who's going to take them along the path to that point.
I reckon that'll be Poch.
I reckon.
Go on, Tom.
I'll predict.
Yeah.
No, it's like I've got.
I'm chicken. Moving on to Bournemouth. Bournemouth have now claimed 5 points from available 9 under caretaker manager Gary O'Neill. Actually 12th in the table now. Wouldn't have thought that when they got beat 9-0 at Liverpool a couple of games ago.
I mean, normally you'd think 5 points from 9 for a caretaker, does he deserve the job? But the thing is with Bournemouth right now is there is talks of a takeover, so whoever does come in, is it going to be the new owner's idea anyway? So they're kind of in a bit of a tricky situation right now, Bournemouth.
I wanted to talk about that, so...
Sorry,
it's alright, it's a consortium from Las Vegas, apparently, that's looking to buy them. It's the owner of the NHL team, the Las Vegas Golden Knights. 150 million, that's really cheap for a Premier League team, is it not?
Normally I'd agree, but Bournemouth, the infrastructure there, they've got a smaller stadium by a long way. They are going to be flirting with relegation at best. 150 million is a decent amount, but at the same time, I can see why it's only 150
teams
million.
Get £200 million in TV money just for being in the Premier League.
I don't know how much they do, but I mean, what's the how much did Newcastle go for? They only went for about 250, 300, didn't they?
I don't know, to be honest.
Punch away.
Oh, you're breaking up a lot, Tom.
I think you need to leave the kitchen.
You've got
and
chicken in your router.
Somewhere where there's Wi-Fi.
Chicken in your router.
$415 million, which is £305 million, apparently. Newcastle went for. That's quite cheap. Chelsea went for like $3 billion.
Chelsea went for an absolutely ridiculous amount, but Newcastle again were flirting with relegation, but unlike Bournemouth, have a stadium that's probably 4 times the size.
Yeah, it says the
with a
smallest
bigger
in the
fan
Premier
base,
League.
etc., etc. So, 150 seems a bit cheap, but considering, like I said, the infrastructure at Bournemouth and the fact that they probably know themselves that they're batting above where they should be, really, I don't think it's that bad a price.
No, I'd be interested in to see what happens there. I think that goes through then half of all the teams will be American owned then. Moving on to Spurs Leicester. 6-2 to Spurs. This is one that I did catch. I don't know if you guys watched it. Spurs didn't look great in the first half.
I think that's just going off typical Spurs at the moment, aren't they? Like they
Yeah, I was going to say.
haven't looked great all season, really, but they seem to either look great and flop. Sorry, not look great and be able to manage to grind out the results still.
Well, as they say, it's a sign of a championship winning team, but I think they're a little bit off that at the moment. But I mean, I know a lot. I was looking on Twitter, and a lot of Spurs fans were very angry at that first half performance.
Leicester were the better team in that first half. You know, I think they probably should have gone in at half-time winning, but they didn't. You know, Leicester's frailties at the back are obvious.
Yeah, Leicester.
Everyone's seen it.
Maddison's goal was really good, wasn't it?
He's a great player, and he should be in the England setup, but that's my opinion on it anyway.
No, I don't think
he's definitely the bright spot in that Leicester setup, 100%.
I don't think him and Tielemans will be there much longer, will they?
Well, he's not signing a new deal, is he, Tielemans?
No, he can sign for someone January, can't he?
Right.
He kind of he does that every now and again. He just comes up and just scores like a wildy. But then
Yeah, he does go missing.
He goes to the Wednesday night games in the cold and the rain, and yeah, he just vanishes.
But is that because he's not happy where he is, or the manager's not getting the best out of him? Like, he's clearly got something, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's definitely got potential, but yeah.
Is he the captain at Leicester now, or because I know he came out after the game and spoke, so I assume he might be, but I don't know who captain is now at Leicester now that Kasper's gone and Vardy didn't start.
I'm not sure who the captain is, to be honest.
Well, I mean, because Maddison came out after the game and he spoke, from the heart, like he said. They were the better team in the first half. Obviously, there's disappointment. They're all behind Brendan Rodgers, and they've got to take some of the responsibility themselves. He was saying all the right things, Maddison, which is a good thing to hear. It's not like he's down in tools and not happy there. He's definitely still wanting to succeed with Leicester.
Evans is the captain.
Oh, how old is that Johnny Evans now? Don't think he should be there.
34.
34. It's not looking good for Leicester, to be honest. Like, I'm surprised, recording this on the Thursday, I'm surprised Rodgers is even still in charge.
I was surprised last week.
Well, yeah.
We
thought he was already
gone.
Yeah. Oh, God. Son got benched. I didn't see... Did he come on in the second half? Or did he come on before that?
No, he came on, 70th minute and had a hat-trick in, 14 minutes.
Yeah, 14-minute hat-trick.
Yeah.
After failing to score in 8 games. Pass. I don't even remember if Charleston played, to be honest.
Yeah,
I didn't watch it.
69th minute for Charleston.
Yeah. What's interesting as well is they had 5 assists from 5 different players, so it shows they're spreading it amongst. It's not just the front 2 anymore.
They used to be a team-on team, didn't they?
Yeah, it was all just Son and Kane, wasn't it?
Remember when I said they were going to win Champions League?
I don't remember that. I remember you saying that Arsenal were going to win the league. They play each other next, actually.
Yeah, that'll be a very interesting game. I mean, it is always, anyway, the North London derby, but being as both of them have got almost nosebleeds where they are in the league right now, that'll be a hell of a game, that.
Yeah, it should. It's one to look forward to. I'm sure it'll probably be a Sunday game, won't it, at 4 o'clock?
I haven't actually, because it's so far in the distance when the next Premier League game is, I haven't actually looked, to be honest.
When Liverpool actually start playing football again. So Leicester have got 1 point after 7 games. Their 6th loss in a row. They conceded 22 goals in 7 games, which is the most conceded at this stage of the season by any club in Premier League history. I think the writing's on the wall, isn't it, really?
They concede. I remember hearing on another podcast last year, and he wasn't wrong when he said it, and he's still sort of saying it now. that for Leicester to win a game, they have to score at least 3 goals because they will definitely concede 2.
And they don't even have the attack, like the firepower to do that, really.
No. It baffles me when you say like how many goals they concede, but how they manage to keep selling centre-backs for 80 million.
No, yeah. That's crazy. They've got Forest next at home, the Monday night game.
That'll be a hell of a game as well. I mean,
battle at the bottom.
Struggling and conceding goals, but yeah, I think wasn't the stat from Leicester as well that basically, I think basically every time they concede a corner, it's going to go in, pretty much.
Yeah. Is that true?
Wow, they can't defend corners.
No, it's well, technically Spurs scored another goal, but it was disallowed for a vaguest of fouls on the keeper as well. That was from a corner.
Yeah, but we know that's going to happen, isn't it?
Yeah,
Touch
if you
the
look at the goalkeeper, then you get a foul.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I think they got the decision right on the Leicester penalty, didn't they? The encroachment from Lloris. He was clearly off his line, so someone was watching in the VAR room for that.
And then it was pretty ballsy of Tielemans to go the exact same way again.
Yeah.
But it was just a slightly better taken penalty, so the keeper couldn't get to it that time.
I think if that was me, I would just roll it down the middle.
But, every time, they might be terrible, Leicester, but it's very, very entertaining to watch them play, because you know there's going to be a goal fest.
Yeah,
this was definitely the game of the weekend for me. Because
what were you going to say, something,
all the other games were fairly boring. This one was just like, this could be 26-4, you never know, like...
I was just going to say, obviously, like what we talked about before about VAR, so just give them like credit where it's due, I suppose. They looked at that and they saw he was off his line and made him take it again, so...
Yeah, definitely. I think whenever they do get a decision right, I think they do get the credit. Because, honestly, I would not want to be a ref. Like, it is bloody hard. Like, if you imagine being a linesman, like, trying to watch an offside, trying to keep up with it, and see the line, and see when the player hit the ball, like, it's an impossible job, really. But the people that are sat in the VAR rooms, like, behind the screens, like, they've got time to watch it. Like, how are they getting so many wrong?
It shows that generally the linesmen, I mean, they do drop the occasional clanger, don't get me wrong, but considering how tough their job is, they generally don't do too badly. They do really well. 3 or 4 minutes and about 20 replays to go, oh, actually, kind of did get that result right. I mean, I don't know, it might be guesswork, but it might just be well trained, I don't know. The linesmen do...
It is the linesmen sat behind the screen, isn't it, watching it, and referees. Did you ever see that video of Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher where they go to...
trying to do it, yeah.
That was funny, that. Moving on to the Sunday games. There's only 2, obviously, with some postponements. First one was Brentford 0, Arsenal 3. Don't know how many times the commentator wanted to mention about putting Ghost to rest when they lost at home lost the first game of the season away to Brentford. Seemed to mention that a lot. But it was a pretty routine win, really. They had 64% of the ball, 13 shots to 5. 6th win in the last 7 games now. It's looking good for Arsenal. I'm starting to agree a little bit with Fryer. Like, they do look good, Arsenal. It's just when they're playing twice a week, 3 times a week, how are they going to fare? That's my only question mark.
This was my point a few weeks ago. I think we were talking about it, is it worth Arsenal literally sacking off the Europa competition and just focusing on the league this year if they're in that strong of a position, with Liverpool struggling at times, with City showing that they can drop points this season? Should Arsenal just focus purely on the league and try and get a bit of an upset?
I know I'd want to do that if I was an Arsenal fan. Like, they've won the FA Cup recently, like 4 times in a row, whatever it was. Like, the Carabao Cup doesn't hold much weight when it comes to the other trophies. I mean, I know for teams that don't win a lot of trophies, a trophy is a trophy, but when you've got a chance of top 4 and maybe even winning the Premier League, like, I wouldn't even hesitate.
But then, as you say, a trophy is a trophy. They might as well keep all their irons in the fire because you don't want to just go all in on one. Europa League, if you win it, you do get a Champions League spot, and it is silverware. So
yeah, I don't think they'll drop Europa League.
Where they could come unstuck. You're very, very correct on that, but I don't think they should sack off the competition. I mean, they should be getting out of their group, even if they do play a slightly weakened team in Europa. Then it's a case of what Champions League teams drop down later on. both them and Man United should definitely half pay attention to the Europa League because it's another genuine attempt to get into the Champions League spot.
It's a good opportunity to get in the Champions League spot, to be honest. And as Arsenal showed in this game, they've got some youngsters coming through because they had 15-year-old come off the bench, Ethan Nwaneri. Sorry about the pronunciation, but just shows that Arteta thinks they've got some good players coming through in the youth setup.
Yeah, well, as the Arsenal fan in here, obviously I was really happy to see Owen. But no, but just I did watch it, and yeah, they just look like a really good team. I don't know how else to just sort of describe it. They just look like a good unit. Like everyone knows their job. Anyone out of position's always covered, and Jesus at the top is just like running that show up there. So
I was watching Arsenal Fan TV the other day, and someone said, and it kind of reminded me of the year when Liverpool won the league, and you just get like a feeling about the team, like how like solid they are, how they are as a group. Like you just think like they're going to do something special, and he was saying that, and it just kind of reminded me of when Liverpool won the league. You always just thought they were going to do something.
Because it's not only the 3-0, it's not only the 3 goals. Sorry, it's the fact that you kept a clean sheet away from home as well. And,
they dominated them. They dominated.
Yeah,
Brentford looked good this season as
a
well.
routine win, wasn't it? You think going to Brentford, it's going to be tricky, but Arsenal completely and utterly dealt with that easily.
Yeah.
Brentford didn't have much of a sniff, really.
There was no service
So
to
much
Tony
so they could bring
whatsoever.
on a child towards the end.
Well, exactly. They brought on 2 youngsters, didn't they? Marquinhos and Nwaneri, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah, if you can bring on a 15-year-old, is it 15 years and it was like 180 odd days? It was the new Premier League record, wasn't it?
Yeah, 15.
I mean, don't get me wrong, he's
181
obviously
days.
incredibly good if he's in the Arsenal setup and they're bringing him on, but at the same time, that's how easy the game was.
Did you hear what the Arsenal fans were singing? They were singing, "He's got school in the morning. He's got school in the morning."
What was even better is the commentator then went, "Oh, actually, I think you'll find Arsenal fans. It's a bank holiday tomorrow, so he won't."
I know, for God's sake. I mean, I'm surprised they had time to say that. Like after saying they've put the ghost to rest. I can't even say it now. The ghosts to rest. Like he just kept going on about that. I was like, it's not like they've won the league now.
Yeah.
Like, this is the final hurdle they had.
But I remember when they did it last season, when Brentford beat them. It was their first ever game in the Premier League, and I always thought it was going to be trickier. Whereas now, obviously, it's 6 games in, and they've been in the league a year, so it's a slightly different animal with Brentford. They're still a very good team, but they were playing a bit of Brentford history when they've played in the opening game of last season. Whereas this one,
yeah, and it was a new team coming in.
Arsenal knew from what happened last time they had to be better, so they were going to be psyched up for it.
Well, they were accused of not fighting, weren't they, in that first game? They were accused of being like out for an outrun, and so they knew what was going to happen. Jesus got his 4th goal of the season, and I don't know if you remember, but I did mention Fabio Vieira at the start. I think it was like episode 2 of the podcast. He made his debut, scored a pretty good goal just before half time. Give the Arsenal fans singing the Vieira chant, which we've not heard for a while.
I was going to ask how did he get on? I didn't see the game as per.
Yeah, he scored like a long range shot, like off the post. Always much more satisfying when it comes off the post.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another fun fact, of the 19 players that have scored on their first start for Arsenal in the Premier League, Vieira is the first one to have found the net from outside the box. So again, it just shows how much they controlled that game, that he could just take long range shots as well.
Yeah, I mean, I heard on the radio before the game started, like Odegaard was out, and I was like, "Oh, Brentford might have a chance here." And then Vieira's just come in, slotted in, scored on his debut, routine win. See you later.
There was something I was reading about Brentford, and I can't confess to know how much they changed their defensive structure. But apparently they switch between a 3 and a 4 quite often, and whenever they choose to play a back 3, Tony does not score.
Maybe that's something to look up.
Apparently it suits Mbeumo more, back 3. So when they're playing a 4, I expect Tony to get on the score sheet, but when they play a 3, they usually...
You'd think their sports scientists would be all over that and just be like, we're not playing that anymore.
Yeah. I'll have to do a bit of background checking on that, but yeah.
Take a look. Moving on to the final game of the weekend. It was Everton 1, West Ham 0. Neil Maupay opened his account for Everton to give them the first win in the season.
What are you on about? They won 0-0 last week.
That's true. Thoughts on the game, for
Well, my first thought was
not Z cars. Thought it'd have been Z cars.
I'm going to have the spirit of the blues in my bloody head now.
and so you should.
Just pretend it's Birmingham or something.
It's so good to finally actually win a game, because just like it takes off just like so much sort of pressure that we've had.
They've been playing well.
Yeah, that's what I mean, because it's hard to be optimistic when you're playing well but you're not winning. So it's like again, like we joked about the Liverpool, and it's like that kind of felt like a win because we played well. That's how it's like, right, okay, well, it was not a win that we need to actually win games. So I don't want to say that we played fantastic, because we did give West Ham quite a few chances and a lot of time on the ball as well. But I think we just got West Ham at the right time. We needed a win. They're playing terribly, so it was a good. It was like a match made in heaven, really. Just again, it's just in the middle, just ran our midfield, and it's so good to see.
Yeah, you've been missing. Like, you never really replaced him since he went to PSG.
No, not really.
How old is he now, though? That's the only issue. I think, isn't he like 32?
I was going to say 32, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, I just think, I mean, I don't know what George is going to say to this, but even Iwobi had more about him, like with just a guy like being in the middle and just playing those balls. Gave Iwobi just like that sort of space to just
not just George. Like, I think Iwobi is not great, but I think, didn't he get man of the match?
Yeah, he was really good. And again, it just shows how just like you get a few pieces together and it just changes like a whole team. We just need to try and keep him fit, really. And I know, like you were saying before, what was it Johnson said before about, you have like a Coutinho and it's just like get him the ball, but that's like
Mari Gray.
For our like our type of teams at the lower end, that's sort of what it is like at the minute. Once you've got someone who's playing well and has that like ability, you just got to give it to him.
Just hope they do something. Did he hit the post? Didn't he, Gray?
He did, yeah.
Yeah, so could have been more, really. I think you had a couple of chances, but then you've got a couple of players like that. Like, what the hell's the other wingers called? I can't even remember his name now. I'm completely blanking. The young lad who Chelsea bid for.
Gordon.
Yeah, Gordon's another one. He can just turn it on as well. Don't know how I forgot his name.
It's all right, I won't take offence. Yeah, he's again, he can turn it. We've got plenty of players like that now, but again, I don't want to be Mr. Naysayer. We should have scored more than one goal, really. But a win's a win at the end of the day, so I can't.
How many he scored, is it? 3 points, 3 points? Doesn't matter if it's 10-0 or 1-0.
The game itself was very end to end, but there was just a lack of quality from both sides in terms of actually taking the chances. And apart from Maupay obviously scoring, but it was like a basketball game when neither team could actually shoot at the hoop.
There was
obviously once Everton did score, it then forced West Ham to kind of turn it on a little bit more. But
yeah, West Ham didn't do anything until they scored, did they?
So toothless in attack at the moment. West Ham, it's weird.
I was going to say, which is weird because they've got Antonio. Say again, sorry.
I was saying, considering how good they were last season.
Well, Antonio especially, like, he was on fire last year, and
Bowen.
Bowen as well. But Antonio, I remember a header he had in that game, and he should have scored. He just hit it straight at Begovic.
Yeah. Berahimia came off the bench and he hit the post, didn't he? But
yeah, he was unlucky.
Owen flashed a couple over the bar, but it's just Everton took their chance well. West Ham kind of muddled about, but didn't really.
They were happy to have a 0-0, weren't they? They didn't play until there was a goal.
I mean, they were both teams were trying, but it was just a lack of quality in the final third.
What were you going to say, Gio?
I was going to say, speaking of Bowen, he didn't actually I think he had one from a fantasy football perspective. I know we'll get on that a bit more of it, but from a fantasy football perspective, he only had one attacking return in the first 8 weeks last season.
Right.
So
Right,
he's kind
it's
of
a
on
slow
the
starter generally.
He's a
is
late
it?
bloomer. It's the
Yeah.
5th defeat for West Ham this season out of 7 games.
And this will be the one that stings the most because they've played. No offense, Tri, but I'm going to say good teams. If you know what I mean. You know they've lost the better teams, whereas this one you think away from home, Everton who haven't won yet, they should be trying to go there and get something out of it. But no,
Tough place to
Everton's
go,
got
though,
a chance
Goodison, isn't it?
for the 3 points.
It's a tough place
And
to go.
despite what Fryer said in the first game of the season, Iwobi is absolutely incredible.
It's just, I think it was just more frustration from the last season just carrying over, to be
Yeah.
honest. I mean, it wasn't his fault, but you know, I'm just happy he's doing well. Let's just leave it.
To be fair, he's keeping Tom Davis out of the team, so no matter what he does on the pitch.
Yeah, that's
why Fryer will love him anyway. But
Yeah.
he's not great in an attacking sense. But now that he's dropped back and he's one of the midfielders, he's doing really well. It's I think we might have mentioned it before about the whole Joelinton dropping back a bit for Newcastle. I think Iwobi's this season's Joelinton by the look of it.
Yeah.
Who did Iwobi used to play for? Wasn't he at,
Arsenal.
Was it Arsenal, was it?
Yeah.
I know you'd know that straight away.
Yeah, it's because I always wanted. I forgot his name now.
Give us a clue.
There's a Arsenal winger. And I think he. It's gonna be me. Leave it with me. I'll try and
Nketiah?
remember it. No. He's always injured.
Is he still there?
No.
Is it Oxlade-Chamberlain?
No.
Always injured.
Oh,
As I was
okay,
saying
this-
before, have a think. As I was saying before, level on 3 goals with Wolves, and they're playing each other next, so something's got to give there. But they seem to be winning in the Conference League, which you'd think would give them a bit of momentum, but they're just not doing it in the league. But yeah, moving on. So that's all the games finished. So we are just going to move on to our FPL segment now. Do you want to go ahead, Fryer?
Well, I'll just
You'll have
start
to think
off.
of that player later.
My team. Yeah, I'll have to think of it. I'll just start with my team really, more than just. And then once everyone's gone through theirs, I just want to run through just something else. But this might be the only time I get to say this season, but I made the right choice in captaining Kane over Haaland. Kane obviously got returned 10 points. Haaland's basically going to get 6 every week, so it took every ounce of courage I had not to captain Haaland, but happy I made the right choice there. Everyone else was not great really. Bernardo I got returns on. Saliba is the only reason I was able to stay in with the top boys. He came back with 15 points from his clean sheet, minutes, goal, and his bonus 3 points as well, which was well deserved. But apart from that, my team got not an average, but I got 64, which was joint top with Tom. I don't know if Tom's mic's working now, but Tom, did you you got 64 points as well? Did you did anyone that you brought in work out for you?
Brought on some.
You brought in Son.
Well, from that, we brought on and that's about it.
Right, well, I've got. Tom's
He's now
team
turned
here.
into the Dalek that I used to be. It sounds like.
Give us some tips, George.
Well, I've got Tom's team here. Then I'll just speak for him while his mic's being weird. Son, 19 points this week, which is insane. He also had Saliba and Captain Haaland. So
wow.
Yeah, so we both got 64 points.
Who came top this week?
Me and Tom.
Oh, right, okay. Because I just saw Tom moaning the other day saying once his lead is lost, then he's going to change his team to blue players. But obviously, he's done quite well.
Yeah, he's still 1 point ahead of me at the top of the league at the minute. So well done, Tom. Then we got third place. We got Johnson, 60 points this week. How did your team work out?
Well, obviously, I had to do my wild card because otherwise I probably wouldn't have got 30 points because I'd lost so many. But I did okay, but not as good as I wanted. Unfortunately, I made the mistake of going for Neco Williams in the starting 11 instead of Everton's Patterson. So that's a 5-point swing.
But, let's not do that.
Well, because I brought in Bowen, and if I'm backing Bowen, I'm therefore didn't think Everton would keep a clean sheet. But
I mean, last week I did say don't get Bowen, but
no, it's for the fixtures ahead. If anything, and the fact that he is the main man. He had some of the better chances for him, but it didn't work out. The same, I had Coutinho, but he didn't. He looked one of the better players, but he didn't do it. So I didn't have De Bruyne in the end because you guys convinced me to go for Kane instead. But I didn't go for Son either. So an adequate week, but not amazing.
No, and you had Maddison as well, didn't you?
Yeah. Maddison was one of the ones. Again, my midfield is the better players at the quote-unquote lesser teams, but Maddison worked out, whereas Bowen, Coutinho didn't.
Not a disaster of a wild card then.
No. I mean, it's better than if I hadn't done it at all. So it's just it doesn't look as good when you and Tom did better than me without using a chip. But I mean, man was partly for what's coming up rather than just this game week as well. To be fair,
you're only 6 points off top, so that's not too bad. Then in fourth place now, moving up the ladder is Alvi, 56 points this week. So not the greatest of weeks, but still, these are the types of numbers you need to pull if you want to stay in the race. So, what do you think, Alvi?
Yeah, I'm happy with it. Just looking at my overall rank history for the season at the moment, and considering I wildcarded in game week 3 when I was at 4.9 million overall, I've now climbed my way up to 1.5. So I'm making some progress, catching you guys slowly.
A marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, true. You Captain Haaland, which you can never say is a bad idea. But did you? What did you feel about Bruyne returning? Just because obviously that would have been the ideal one. I always look at that when I look at a game week.
Who was that?
Who actually would have been? De Bruyne came back with 10 points. So I always look back and on my teams I go like, I picked the wrong captain because he got more points, but you didn't because again it would be silly to say Haaland's the wrong captain, but.
Yeah, I think as long as your captain returns something, it's not a failure. It's not a blank.
No.
Obviously, looking at now, like I had De Bruyne and Cancelo both scored more points than Haaland this week, so both of them would have been good. Realistically, I never would have captained Cancelo. De Bruyne possibly, but I think at the moment, because 99% of the game are captaining Haaland every week, which is very logical to do so.
Yeah.
It's difficult to roll the dice against him, but I think we're not at the crunch time of the season yet, so I'm not going to start looking at it. But I think with everyone perma captain in Haaland at the moment, there's a valid argument for choosing when to go against the grain. And
there's an opportunity, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. But obviously, you are running the risk of everyone outscoring you that week if you fail.
Speaking of everyone outscoring you, I'll. Go on, Tom.
Am I now?
No. Carry on, Friday.
We can pick up every third next week. Word now, so you're better than you were. But I'd probably try and sit next to your router and put down the chicken.
We'll hear up on next week.
I was just going to, just off the back of Falvey saying, outscoring people. CB got outscored by everyone this week. Only 40 points. I'll speak for him because he's not here.
40 points.
40 points. Wow. So it's not a disaster, obviously below average. But
George's daughter beat him.
He had Collins, so obviously got a -3 for that. He had Salah blank, Odegaard blank.
So he got unlucky then, really, didn't he? Although I suppose they're going to be injured, don't they?
I mean, he had 2 Wolves defenders up against City, so I don't really have any sympathy. But Captain Haaland, but obviously I imagine that's
anti-City coming in, isn't it? Now also beat City.
No, I think to be honest, he said he forgot to do it. So, also just to mention Sam.
He's just put in a group chat in capitals. I didn't do my team.
Well, that'll be why he got 39 points then this week.
No, that's CB, not Sam.
Oh, it was. Oh, right. Yeah, I knew.
Sam's just the forgotten man. I don't know where Sam is.
yeah, sounds the same. Just had a few blank, Odegaard blank, Salah blank. Perisic with only 2 points, which is frustrating, but considering he got an assist. But yeah,
The funny thing about Perisic is he got a yellow card 20 minutes after he came off.
yeah.
So he got a -1 even though he wasn't on the pitch for 20 minutes.
Yeah, so
I am present. Yeah.
So the only other thing I just wanted to mention was from last week when I made my little like buy sell monitor. For goalkeepers, obviously I said look to buy Pope. He only came back with 2 points, so obviously that's not ideal. Defenders, I said to bring in Trippier. So he came back with 5, so that's a good one. Midfielders, to buy De Bruyne, to sell Salah, so he returned 10. And for the forwards, I said buy Tony and sell Jesus. So, but I did say to monitor Isaac though, who also obviously got a
Scored
goal.
the pen,
So,
didn't he?
yeah, we're in the right areas. So,
Got a message from the man with no mic. He said his team is dumb luck, so I don't think he knows what he's doing. And his chicken dinner is awesome. And that's probably the last we'll hear of Tom.
oh Tom, sorry, when you said.
At least we know how the chicken's doing.
That's the most important topic of this podcast. But yeah. Anyone else got anything to add before we finish?
Oh, that's everything for FPL.
Just welcoming the abysmalness of international football for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, you should like it as a Wales fan.
This season's Nations League, no, because we seem to be the whipping boys in the group. But hey,
So you
Wait,
just. I nearly swore then. I nearly swore at the very end.
Wait a minute, when are you not the whipping boys?
well, when we're
When
not in the
England are
top
in the group.
bracket, because we were in Group A, we're always going to just be trying to survive. Whereas in Group B, last time we won it, so therefore we got promoted. So
Don't even talk about
we could
Nations
still,
League.
Wales could still stay up, but we need to better Poland basically to do it. So that's a discussion for another day. Obviously, when we're talking about international.
Yeah.
Clear again. Am I clear?
Wait, there we go. That's better.
No,
There we go.
Tom's back just when someone badmouth Wales. Fight him, Tom. Fight him.
Right, well, I think
Don't
that's
care.
it.
No.
Go on.
Don't care. Boy.
Oh, you've gone rubbish again. Tom.
Oh.
That'll do for today's episode
That's
anyway.
definitely the end.
Yeah, thanks for listening. You can find us on Twitter, HalfTimeTA2, YouTube, Twitch, Spotify, and Anchor at HalfTimeTeamTalk. And if you want to find Tom on Spotify and Anchor, you can at ThomasCast. So, yeah, thanks for listening. Bye.